Hey guys, it's me, Miss Mills, and welcome to Mrs. Mills' Math Time. The whole point of this video is to help you out with IXL V.15. IXL V.15 is basically just combining or adding and subtracting your like terms. So you have to identify which terms are like terms, and then you have to simplify the expression. So I'm going to do a couple of examples of this with you. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll help out in any way that I can. All right, so here's our first expression. The first ones are pretty easy, and as you know, IXL gets a little bit more difficult as time goes on. But first, we'll start off with this one. We have 8. We have 8F. We're going to add that by 4F, and then we're going to add that by 2F. All right. So this one's going to be pretty easy because all of the terms are like terms. They have the same variable. Okay, they all have that base of F. Since they all have the same base, all you have to do is just add across. So 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. So what we have is we have 14. The variable stays with it, 14F, and that's your final answer. So what you can do is you can go back to your IXL. You're going to type in 14, make sure that variable stays with it or that base stays with it, and go ahead and submit. All right, so here's the next one. We have 3M, and we're going to add that by negative 10. So again, when you're adding and subtracting like terms like this, be careful with your operators, your addition and subtraction, and your negative numbers, because you have to be able to understand the rules in order to get the correct answer. So for example, with this rule, when you're adding by a negative, well, an addition and a negative is going to give you just a negative, remember? So positive and a positive is positive, a negative and an addition is negative, but then a negative and a negative will always give you a positive, okay? So in this case, we were gonna add it by a negative, so we were going to just subtract. So in this case, we're going to subtract 3m by 10m. Again, they both have the same base, they're both m's. So what we can do is we can just go ahead and subtract them. So 3 minus 10 is going to give us a negative 7. We keep the same base with that, and that's it. So negative 7m. All right, I'm going to skip to the next one. Same thing. All these are the same like terms. So you just, from left to right, you just subtract or add from left to right until you have it all simplified. All right, so this one we have different terms, so we do have to identify which terms are like terms. So I'll go ahead and write this down. We have 7. We're going to add that by negative k. We're going to add that by negative 6k squared, and we're going to add that by 6k squared. All right, so first things first. 7, we have to identify which terms have like terms. 7, does any other term go with 7? And as you can see, none of them do, so 7 is going to be by itself. The next term we have is a negative k, so be very careful. This is not the same term as k squared, because in order for the terms to be like terms, they have to have the same base and the same exponent, okay? So k by itself will have an exponent of 1, while k squared, has an exponent of 2. So k is going to be by itself in this case. There's going to be no other like terms that go with it. But last but not least, k squared, negative k squared, 6k squared, and then 6k squared, again, those are going to be like terms because they have the same base and the same exponent. All right, so now we can go ahead and simplify. Again, 7 cannot be combined, so we can bring that down. Negative k cannot be combined, so we'll go ahead and bring that down. Remember, when you have a positive and a negative, you'll just get a negative, so I just subtracted that by k, just brought it down and simplified it that way. Same thing here, we have a positive and a negative, so that's just going to be subtraction. But what we have here is we have negative 7k squared. We're going to add that by 6k squared. Again, these are like terms, so you can just add them. So negative 6k squared plus 6k squared, well, those are actually opposites. Negative 6 plus 6 would give you 0. So what we would have is we would have plus 0k squared. You don't have to have plus 0k squared because that doesn't exist. So what we have left over is just 7 minus k. So we can go back to our IXL and we're going to put 7 minus k. Awesome. All right, so this one's similar to the ones we had before. I'm going to do it with you so I can show you how to put exponents in, but every single one of these are like terms. They have the same base as well as exponent, but let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, all these are like terms. They all have m squared on them, so you can combine all of these. First we have 5 plus 4. Well, 5 plus 4 is going to give us 9. And then 9 minus 9, because remember we have, all right, so 5 plus 4m squared is going to give us 9m squared. And then 9m squared plus negative 9m squared is what we have left over. Again, when you're adding by negative, that just gives us a negative. So 9m squared minus 9m squared. Again, those are opposites. What you're going to have left over is 9 minus 9. Well, that gives us 0. We can bring down that the variable in the exponent. Again, 0m squared doesn't really exist, so all we have left over is 0. So what you can go in here is you can just put 0. Weird that happened twice. All right, so this one again is different. We have 6b. We're going to add that by 5. We're going to add that by negative 10, and then we're going to add that by negative 5. All right, so we have to identify which terms are like terms. If we're looking at our first term, that's negative 6b. Well, none of our other terms have a b on it, therefore it's going to be by itself. The other term we have is 5. 5 doesn't have anything with it. 5 can go along with negative 10 as well as negative 5, so these will have to combine. But negative 6b doesn't have anything to combine with, so we'll just go ahead and bring that down, and then we can simplify the rest of it. 5 plus minus, again, that's going to be just subtraction, and then the same thing here. So what we have is 5 minus 10, which is in that answer minus 5. So 5 minus 10, well, 5 minus 10 is going to give us negative 5. Negative 5 minus 5 is going to give us negative 10. And that is going to be our final answer. You can't simplify it more than that. So what we have is negative 6b. We're going to subtract that by 10. All right, so this is similar. We go on to the next one. Guys, on this one, neither of them have a like term. You can't combine it at all, so your answer is just going to be 5x. We're going to add that by 2y. You cannot simplify that anymore because they do not have the same, they're not like terms. They don't have the same variable or exponent. I mean, they have two completely different variables anyway, so yeah, that can't be combined. All right, these are 8m squared cubed, 8m cubed, and we're going to add that by 6m cubed. Again, these are both like terms. Oops. Both of them have an m cubed. So since they're like terms, we can go ahead and combine them. So 8 plus 6 is going to give us 14. 8 plus 6 is 14. And then we can bring down our m cubed. So I wanted to show you this one because I wanted to show you how to type this into your IXL. What we're going to do is we have 14m, and you're going to click this little button. That'll bring up an exponent, and you're just going to type in a 3 there, and that's it. All right. Yeah, I'll do one more. All right, what we have here is we have 9g. We're going to add that by 10h, and then that by 7h. Again, we need to identify our like terms. 9g doesn't have any other common like terms, so that's going to be by itself. So I can go ahead and just bring that down, 9g. And then we look at my next term. Well, we have 10h. Does any other terms go along with 10h? Well, 7h does. So these will be combined. What we have is we have 10. We're going to add that by 7. Well, 10 plus 7 is going to give us a positive 17. And we can bring down that like term with it, which is h. And that'll be my final answer. So what we have is 9g. We're going to add that by 17h. All right, guys, that seems pretty much about it. So, guys, if y'all have any questions about combining like terms, let me know. I'll be happy to help in any way that I can. I will see y'all later. Bye.